Welcome to Conversations Live. For more than a decade, we've brought you the best in books, entertainment, and current events. When the movers and shakers of the world have something to say to you, they say it to us first. Now, here's your host, Cyrus Webb.
And welcome back, everyone, to Conversations Live. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again. Whether you're tuning in on the radio dial in Mississippi at WYAD 94.1 FM, we welcome you all back to our program, as well as tuning in through our online affiliates around the world. We're glad to have all of you with us as well. I'm excited to welcome back to our program today musician Camille Nelson. We're going to talk to Camille not only about her new project called Lead Me Home, but also what it's been like for her to do what she loves when it comes to music and to be able to see the response. Now, if you think you know the songs on this project, I don't think you've ever heard them quite like this. We'll talk to Camille not only about how she decided what songs she wanted on it, but what it's been like for her to hear from all of you. And then, of course, we'll let you all know how you can get the project for yourself. Camille, hello to you, and welcome back to the program. Glad to have you back on with us.
Hi, Cyrus. Hey, thanks so much. It's good to be back.
Well, look, I think, when I was first listening to Lead Me Home, I think the thing is, it's these songs are going to, when they hear these instrumentals, it's going to definitely take them back, I think, to their fervent times with their relatives or when they first heard these songs for themselves. What has it been like for you to kind of bring those memories back to people through your arrangement of these songs?
I think it does the same for me. When I was asked to do this project, I was just asked to put together a collection of traditional hymns of some original songs that were inspiring to me, and I hope to kind of carry that on to others. And so when I reflected upon all the songs, some of these songs just brought up some great memories from my childhood and just some recent memories that brought feelings of peace and just solace, and so I hope to just pass that along to others.
Well, I think you're definitely doing that, Camille. And I think the other thing is, what you have done with this project is, I think, what people love so much about music, which is why I think they turn to music during difficult times, during challenges, because it does, I think, remind them of all of us kind of know what this feels like to be in a certain place. Is that also what music does for you? Is that kind of that universal language for you that kind of reminds us all that, we're all in this thing called life together?
Absolutely. I think whenever we have struggles, whenever we're dealing with something, we tend to turn inward with our struggles, and sometimes we can hold them in. And music, just as a young child and just while growing up, it was a way for me to express what was inside and a way to turn outward to express my feelings of just difficulties and the natural struggles that no one is immune to. And so music has just been a powerful source to express what my words have never been able to.
Yeah, and I think that's the other thing. You mentioned about words. Here we're able to hear this music, and I have to ask you this. Were there some songs that when you were arranging these, when you were being able to play them, that you felt like, wow, I actually get a chance to, through my gift, to bring my own touch, my own flavor to this hymn that people might know the words to, but may not know quite this way that I may be able to play them.
Absolutely, yeah. There were a couple that way. Like there's one of my favorites, a traditional Celtic hymn. It's one of my favorite hymns of all time, and just it has such a beautiful meaning. But also the melody is just hauntingly beautiful. I've always connected to that melody, and so while coming up with that melody, I was just inspired to put a different chord structure to it, and just to kind of put my own flavor to it, just based on my background and everything, to hopefully connect with others in a different way that hymn hasn't connected with them previously. So.
Right. So, Camille, take us back a little bit. For those who may have missed our previous conversation, when did you first discover your own unique musical voice? When did you know that you had been given something special when it came to being able to share music?
I think it was when I was growing up, and just as we all have natural struggles and everything, growing up, I had an ill mother at home who unfortunately just by the age of 8 wasn't able to do the normal things parents would do, and she was in a wheelchair, and a lot of times I would be home taking care of her. And so while dealing with this growing up, naturally it would just be hard for anyone. I didn't know quite how to express what I was feeling as a 12-year-old, and I just remember seeing the piano out of the corner of my eye and walking over to the piano and just asking, well, I don't know how to express this in words, but what if I just played the black keys? And I remember sitting down. I wasn't a great, I played violin mainly growing up, and piano wasn't. It didn't come naturally to me. It's the instrument that I hear more than read. I'm not very technically good at it, but in the same regard, I think it's the instrument I go to toward emotion, because it's an instrument I'm confident and not super great at, and so I guess I don't judge myself quite as enough as like a violin or guitar that I'm more, educated or well versed at. But I just sat down at the piano when I was 12 and just played this song, just predominantly on the black keys, and it just, I'll never forget the feeling of catharsis and just that it was just being able to express these feelings that I had on the inside and be able to express that through music. And ever since, I was just addicted, just as a songwriter, just being able to express my feelings through music and hopefully passing that on to others.
Right. And you've definitely been able to do that, and you've been able to amass, fans literally around the world. I noticed that you engage quite frequently with them online. Camille, what has that experience been like for you to literally share this gift with the world and to hear from people around the world about how it is touching them and affecting them?
It's honestly so fulfilling. It's maybe giving back or paying forward what other artists have done for me as far as offering their gift of music or their passion of music and passing that on to others. But when I hear, I've traveled all over the world, and when I connect with some of these countries I've been to, whether it be Australia or whether it be Italy or Germany or anything, and making a personal connection with them somehow by having them tell me a story of what the song really meant to me, it helps me just come closer to them and also their culture, and it's just so fulfilling being able to make personal connections with people through music is just, I think, one of the greatest gifts I can have. So
for sure. And I think, those connections definitely come through in this new project. For those who are just tuning in, either on the radio side or online, you're listening to Conversations Live. We're excited to welcome back to our program today musician Camille Nelson. We're talking to Camille not only about her new project, Lead Me Home, but also what it's been like for her to see the way that people are responding to it. The first selection we're going to be hearing to is a song that all of us, I think, know, Camille, and that is Amazing Grace. This is a song that is so universal. It feels like, talk to us about what it was like for you to kind of begin the project with this song.
I just wanted to take all of the inspiration or just all of the music influences that I've had throughout my life. So I took the strings. Violin was my first instrument growing up, and then guitar was really the instrument that I fell in love with when I was a teenager. And so I started first with the guitar, and I remember kind of having these chords in mind and not really knowing what it was going to be. But then all of a sudden I just heard the words, or I heard the melody of Amazing Grace come to mind. I'm like, I wonder if that would really work. And so I would record these chords and the finger picking pattern and singing it over Amazing Grace. It just fit seamlessly. It was just like, well, of course this needs to be it. So then we went into the studio to record that, and then I recorded the violin just on the first melody, did some vocal ooze. I grew up singing. My mom was an opera singer and just encouraged us all to sing, and so that added that influence in there. And Shane Mickelson, an incredible string arranger, I went to him to record some strings on there, and I was able to play in just a double string quartet that recorded strings around it, and it just came out better than I had even imagined. And just the beautiful story behind Amazing Grace and redemption and coming back and overcoming things, I think I was really thinking about while arranging it, and hopefully it shines through to others who listen to it.
Right. I think that's so powerful. It's such a great message. For those who have not had a chance to hear it, here is Amazing Grace from Camille Nelson's new project, Lead Me Home. We'll be back with more of our conversation with Camille right after this. That again was Amazing Grace, again from the new project by Camille Nelson called Lead Me Home. You all can get that single as well as the entire project through our friends at Amazon.com or through your favorite online retailer. We'll remind you of that a little bit later. We're going to listen to the title track here a little bit later, but I want to talk about what you just mentioned, Camille, about that particular song, because I think one of the big things for me when I hear Amazing Grace and when I think of even hear the music and knowing that is what that song is, you're reminded of something I mentioned earlier, and that is that you're not alone. I think a lot of times we feel unloved, we feel unworthy. I mean, does that song kind of remind you that, if no one else has told you that they love you, that you always have the love of God with you?
Absolutely. I think just as the one who's experienced everything and the one who sacrificed so much for all of us, he knows us all so personally. And I think if you look at your own friends, I mean, when I think of my best friend, I'm like, oh, that this person that knows me better than anyone, and how close you feel to that specific person. And so, but the same thing with God and our own personal relationship with him and how we come closer to him, and it's drawing closer to him as he is drawing closer to us. So.
Yeah, I think that's so true. Such a great thing. And I think, too, the other gift that you've given us, Camille, is that for some people out there who maybe, I think sometimes we take for granted that everyone knows these songs. So I think, now you've given some people a gift that maybe they're not familiar with these songs, that they will be able to allow them to speak to them. And I think that, again, is another great use of the gift that you've been given. The last song we're going to hear is the title track, Lead Me Home. I mean, talk to us about that. I mean, how did this become the song that you decided to not only name the project for, but, of course, to be on the project?
And so as the project started, the project is comprised predominantly of traditional hymns and religious music. Lead Me Home was a title that was suggested by the executive producer, the label owner, and it just fit so well because of our own relationship with God and how God helps us in our direction in our lives. And I was driving the other day, and I can't get anywhere without a GPS, and I was driving to play at a wedding, and it was so far up in the mountains that the GPS stopped working, and I panicked because I can't even get to the grocery store without a GPS, And so I honestly, I just said a prayer. I was like, please lead me to this wedding. I am so deficient and so just kind of handicapped without this GPS, but I think we feel that way in our lives sometimes. The Lord and God really gives us our direction and is our GPS full time in our lives, but it's really up to us to open up that connection, and to him so that he can ultimately lead us to where he wants us to go.
Right. I think that is such a good thing. Thank you so much for sharing that story. I think we all have our GPS story that we can share. I know I've had mine as well, for sure, not too long ago. Well, for those who have not had a chance to hear it, here is Lead Me Home by Camille Nelson from her project of the same name. We'll be back with our final moments with Camille right after this, so stay with us. That again was Lead Me Home by Camille Nelson from her new project by that same name. It's available, as I said earlier, through our friends at Amazon.com or through your favorite online retailer. We're about to tell you guys how you can also stay connected with Camille. Now, Camille, one of the other blessings you've been given is not only having a studio project like this, but being able to go out there and to meet your fans. Talk to us about that experience. I mean, what is it like for you to be in that space with them and to be able to physically see the way that your music is responding to them and that they're responding to it?
I think, like I shared a little earlier about making personal connections with people over in Australia or Italy or whatever, but as I've done some smaller performances and house concerts, I meet people. Maybe I've met them online and we actually are able to meet in person, and that's such a special experience. Or maybe it's someone I've met for the very first time, and someone shared with me a special experience they had about one of the tracks on the album, How Great Thou Art, a traditional hymn, and told me the story about how their grandpa would always sing that hymn to them and how much they missed, and how every time they hear that hymn, they think of their grandfather, and making those personal connections and having that music, having the music and the hymns be able to evoke that type of emotion is just a really special experience, because I think we all have ties to traditional hymns, whether we're familiar with them or not, but I think we're all going to get a different experience out of them. So to hear the individual stories of people is just really, really special to me, and something I treasure just a whole bunch. And so,
yeah. Well, I definitely have enjoyed this conversation with you, Camille, being able to talk about this project. I know our audience enjoyed listening to the music. I hope they will add it to their own library to be able to not only be inspired by it, but also to share it with others. I think it's something about songs like these that remind us, of course, as I said earlier, that we're not by ourselves, but also, of course, remind us that we are loved. And I think that is a message that all of us need for sure. Again, everyone, Camille Nelson has been our guest. Camille, I know, as I mentioned earlier, you're all over the place with social media, but how can our audience kind of stay connected with you and kind of keep up with what's coming up next for you?
Yeah, definitely Facebook. There's Camille Nelson Music, and then Instagram, Camille Nelson Music, and then Twitter, I think, is Camille N Music. I think that is. I always forget that handle, but that, I think I even am on Tumblr. You can go on Pandora or Amazon, iTunes. There's DeseretBook.com. That's a religious store predominantly in the West Coast. But yeah, or CamilleNelson.com. You can go there as well and send an email, say hi. I'd love to hear your stories. I love stories. Who doesn't love a good story? So.
Right. Well, Camille, congratulations to you again. Thank you so much for the time, and I look forward to our next conversation together.
Yeah, well, same here, Cyrus. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure chatting with you.
Oh, the pleasure's definitely all mine. And we thank your audience for tuning in to another great segment of Conversations Live. If you all can tell, I'm dealing with our allergies here in Mississippi today. The weather's changing on us here, and I definitely want to make sure that we got our interview with Camille in, so I was glad to be able to work through it, and I hope you guys appreciate the fact that we tried to make it as great as we could for you, for sure. And Camille, I really appreciate this, and I'm so excited that this music is out there now for people to be inspired by it. Again, everyone, it's called Lead Me Home. It's available now, of course, wherever you buy your music, so definitely take advantage of the opportunity to be able to get it. Now, if you all came in late, you missed part of the conversation with Camille. Don't worry. Thanks to our online friends, you all can catch the replay right after we go off the air. The link is already available through our social media site, so head over to Facebook.com/Cyrus Webb or go over to Twitter.com/Cyrus Webb. We'll make sure to tag Camille on our social media sites as well to make it easier for you all to find her there too. Until next time, I'm your host, Cyrus Webb, saying as always, enjoy your day, enjoy your life, enjoy your world. Make sure you take out time to enjoy some good music as well as a great book. Thank you all for choosing Conversations Live. You all make it a great one.